Hello, everyone, and welcome to Phoenix Gaming. It is that time of year where the World Board Gaming Championships are coming up. If you don't know what the WBC is, let me just quickly sell you on it. I've been going for over 2 decades. It is, in my opinion, the best board gaming convention in North America. It's about 1,500 people gather a little bit outside of Pittsburgh at a ski resort. We play board games for 9 days of gaming. It is just a bunch of series of tournaments, over 120 to 150 unique board game tournaments structured in single elimination or Swiss format. It is more akin to like a scheduled open gaming kind of thing. So you just imagine that you can pick out some of your favorite kinds of games. You could go and know that other people are going to know how to play that game and be excited to play that game. It's the place to go. What you win is just bragging rights and I guess a cool little trophy thing if that's the kind of thing that you're into. But people are there to have a great time, to have a vacation, and just to play a ton of board games. There's not, a great vendor hall. There's not like glitzy other stuff going on, but it is just the best place if you're interested in playing board games. If you want to know more details, hit me up, but I will leave a link to the website, which is being redone because it's not that great, in the comments here. Also, if you are interested in the World Series of Board Gaming, which is coming up later in September, I'll drop a link for that as well. I've talked about that a few times. I will leave a link in the description as well below. And of course, hit me up with any questions. What we're doing for today's video is same thing I actually did last year. We are planning for this event. And for me, the first game of the convention is the planning mini game. Now, like I said, there's like 120 to 150 tournaments, and I'm a pretty diverse gamer. I actually think it's like one of my strengths as a gamer is I don't tend to go as deep on certain games, kind of contrary to what you would expect from watching a lot of the videos on this channel. I like to learn new things and explore, and I would say at conventions I tend to lean more towards playing things that I already do know, but that diversity of gaming experience is something that is important to me, and so I definitely have to make some very tough choices along the way. And then, part of this gaming mini game that I play, or the scheduling mini game that I play, is figuring out along the way where I think I might advance in certain events and not in others. And so, I probably will come off a little cocky sounding in this video, and I think it's probably warranted. I have a good sense of like when I'm going to advance in events or not, but giving myself funnels to have options whether I advance or not advance is a key part of my scheduling process here. I've had people asking me about making this schedule for several weeks now, and the truth is that I only do it with this guy right here. This is like the paper schedule. So there's all sorts of wonderful Excel schedules and Gantt schedulers and everything like that. But this is what I did as a teenager, and I had this system, and so I just gotta stick with it. So our goal generally is to spend as much time possible playing games. I do have a lot of friends that I want to spend time with and catch up with, and family at the convention, but our primary goal here is to play games and try to get as many laurels. Laurels are the scoring system we use at WBC as possible. I'll maybe ramble about that a little bit more, but let's go ahead and get started. I am driving up with my mom on that very first Saturday, so I'm going to be here in time in the morning. 9 a.m. I would be pretty happy to play Monsters Manus America. This is a game that I played a bunch as a kid, and is hilarious. I mean, it's like a little war game. It's kind of like a kid's game, but actually like the strategy does kind of matter, but it's all just dice rolling at the end of the day. I don't often end up getting to play it at the convention because it's not a high priority for me, but I do always love when I have the chance to do so. This is a 2-hour game, so it is going to conflict with these guys at 10 o'clock, where we've got Beyond the Sun, which I'm quite a big fan of. I don't tend to do that well. I usually get to the semifinals and then burn out. Although I did 2 years ago place like third or fourth in the final. So I'm a mixed bag, but it is a fun game and good competitors there. We've also got Cascadia going on at 10 o'clock, which I like. It's not super important to me, but it is a game that often can be played in an hour. You'll notice here on these schedules, they say like how long the slots are for these games. And technically that's the time that's like slotted for it, but I am going to make some greedy calls. Like Beyond the Sun, They probably put it up to 3 hours. It used to be a 2-hour game because they had too many people running towards time. But I think it's a fair greedy play to say I might be done with this game in 2 hours. So that is something to consider, and actually kind of a new consideration for Beyond the Sun there. Lost Ruins of Arnak, I'm also pretty excited about. So I'm already seeing that there's a lot of options I'm going to have to choose from on this morning here. San Juan is nice and fun to play, but only if I have nothing else to contend with it. I like Small World fine, but I won't play here. And Through the Ages is another good option. I haven't really kept up with my Through the Ages skills over time. I tend to mostly play it at this event, but it is a good time. Slotted at 4 hours, but usually finishes in less than 3. I'm noticing here that there's nothing really at 11 or 12 that I'm interested in playing. These in italics are all demos. So it doesn't really matter the time slot that I'm choosing here. I'm basically choosing one of these 5 games to play. And we're going to come back and make this decision later. This is sort of my first block of what I'm going to play. Monsters Menace America would get bonus points if we had a game that played at 11 o'clock that might be able to like finish by sort of like the 1 p.m. time. But since we don't really play 18xx, Monsters Menace America is almost certainly dropping to the bottom of this list. Same is true for Cascadia. I want to make sure that I'm maximizing the time that I have. So Beyond the Sun, Beyond the Sun, I almost said Stars, Lost Ruins of Arnak, and Through the Ages are what we're looking at for a 10 o'clock game. Through the Ages, a little bit speculative to finish by 1, but probably in our favor. That being said, the only thing at 1 o'clock that we much care about is Vegas Showdown. And I'm not too married to Vegas Showdown. It's a fun little game that I've played here and there. But this is actually the demo, and it's just not actually correctly in italics. So we literally don't care about what's going on at 1 o'clock here. So we're going straight on to 2. Kind of an awkward start of a Saturday where we have this sort of, I'll have a little bit of a gap here. That's something to note. 2 o'clock, we don't play Agricola with the Sharks. We don't love Dominion, so Great Western Trail is almost certainly the only 2 o'clock game, but we have to compare that to what's going on at 3 to see if there's anything we're super interested in. I'll play Formula D for fun here and there, but it doesn't look like much else we want to go on, so we're definitely playing Great Western Trail from 2 to 5 on the first Saturday. This is a no-brainer. I don't often get this, where there's not a lot of conflicts all the way down the line. So we are playing GWT in this block. I love that because last year I didn't get to play DWT because it conflicted with stuff constantly. So here I have a guaranteed game slot for that, which is really, really nice for me. 5 o'clock, I've got a couple options. I think Seven Wonders Duel is really fun. I haven't really kind of like kept up, practiced with it, but I do like it. I'm half decent at it. Gangsters is a game that I used to be really good at in the past. I'll play it if it's convenient, but it kind of falls in the Monsters Menace America category of like, it's definitely die rolling. It's die rolling fun. It's a game that I learned at this event, basically for this event. And I kind of went on a tear the first few years that I played it. And just touch on it here and there next. Alhambra's fine. I quite like Russian Railroads. I probably like it more than Seven Wonders Duel, but I need to make sure that I have all these considerations so that if I need to do some walkbacks or if one of these is not a viable game later, and you'll see what I mean when I get there, I know that I have some options along the way. These 5 o'clock guys are also 2 hours, so they'd compete with something at 6 o'clock. I am super interested in learning John Company, and I've considered doing it at WBC, but the truth is in a 5-hour slot, it just gives up a lot of other gaming opportunities, minimizes my ability to maximize my points. So I'm going to have to learn that somewhere else. So we'll see if I can make that happen someday. 7 o'clock, we got Seven Wonders, which is fine, but Five Tribes is a game that we like a lot more than that. Even Medici, I like more than Seven Wonders. So Five Tribes is easily my favorite on this list right here. So we're going to say that we're playing Five Tribes at 7 o'clock. I'll just make a note that Medici is here in case Five Tribes is not something that we actually want to be doing as well. 10 o'clock, none of these are too interesting, which is great. And then 9 o'clock, we actually have a glut of I literally like all 3 of these games. I think Agizia is like one of just a really, really good Euro game that is like understated and just not as popular in the like general populace as I think it really deserves to be. I think it's a super good game, and I want that like river mechanism to be more common. Evolution is a game that I kind of always forget about, and then I end up playing at WBC, and I'm like actually pretty good at it because it's just a lot of like counterplay, and I really enjoy the like flow of the game. But Automobile is one of my favorite games of all time. I basically only get to play it at WBC. It's not a game I would ever subject my friends to because it's mostly math. So I'm almost certainly going to be playing Automobile in this slot, but I am going to make note of the others just in case. So actually, this has been one of the more easy days to schedule here. We've got some tough choices in the morning, but almost certainly playing Great Western Trail, maybe Russian Railroads, Five Tribes, and then Automobile on the first day. So that's a pretty... We'll have a couple things to look back here, but that's a nice start to our week of a nice full day there. And let's look at the first Sunday as we're going to continue forward. I'm going to keep saying we, even though I'm playing all these games. I've gotten into this mode because of the YouTubes, and I can't shake it. And I really like it. We really like it. Oh, that's embarrassing. Morning. So we've got Great Western Trail again, which hopefully we don't need to play, but certainly could. Vegas Showdown, another option. Those are the only things that really jump out at us at 9 o'clock here. So 10 o'clock, there isn't really much here that we're too interested in either. So we are basically looking at a 9 o'clock GWT or a 9 o'clock Vegas Showdown. And we could probably make the call about whether we're playing Vegas Showdown based on how Great Western Trail goes the previous day. Now, it is important to note that Great Western Trail is going to conflict with any choices that we make at 11 o'clock here. So at 11, we've got some fun choices. Adele is a nice chill game that's basically a complicated rocks, paper, scissors. I always like to try and get a game of Robo Rally in. It's just the good rock and fun. In a 3-hour slot, but also often can finish faster than that. Not opposed to playing something like Space Station Phoenix or Wingspan. These are all good little Euro games, so a lot of options there, but nothing that I'm terribly married to in this entire block here. This is neat. So Azul at 12 o'clock is a 1-hour block. These are always valuable to throw on the schedule in case something finishes early and I can make sure that happens. There's nothing else really going on at 12 that I want. And it's helpful to check that because I'm basically saying I can do almost any of these things. Robo Rally is going to care about what's in the 1 o'clock slot, which is actually non-negotiable. So I am GMing again Everdell this year. So from 1 to 3, we're running and playing Everdell. Which is going to knock out 5 tribes. Not that we're too concerned about any of these games, but if we weren't playing 7 Wonders before, we're even more determined to not play 7 Wonders now. But we do need to be done for sure by 1 o'clock. Robo Rally can't guarantee that, so Robo Rally comes off the list. All the rest of these, I believe, are in time slots that are 2 hours, so 11 to 1, we're going to be good for that. I'd like to play something that isn't close. I did have a couple close calls with Everdell last year, so that is something I need to consider about playing Azul, just making sure that I don't run right up against the time or making sure that I'm prepped in advance. I can't go from game to game to game without like picking up my GM stuff. It just becomes too difficult. 2 o'clock doesn't have anything going on, which is great because we wouldn't be able to play thanks to Everdell. At 3 o'clock, we have a couple options, but almost certainly we're playing Arc Nova. Arc Nova is our team game this year. Part of the reason, and one of my sub-goals, as I mentioned before at World Series of Board Gaming, one of the days at World Series of Board Gaming, I cannot choose what game I want to play. There's Arc Nova, Brass Birmingham, Ra, and Lost Ruins of Arnak, which are all games that I'm reasonably good at, but not amazing at. And so I've been really struggling to pick. And last year what I did was I said, I will let WBC help dictate what I play at WSBG. I placed second in the Arc Nova event last year and then subsequently placed second in the Arc Nova event at WSBG. So to me, this is obviously a foolproof method for figuring out what it is that I should be doing with my time. I made it my team game as well. The team game is not that important at WBC. It's a fun little called shot event. I did that largely because I knew this would be a huge event. So you get extra points for winning events that are nice and big. I'll make note of the fact that Beyond the Sun is here, although there's pretty much no chance I'm going to take that over Arc Nova. And then in case we need the time, Monsters Menace America or even Through the Ages are at 3 o'clock here. But again, it's unlikely I'm going to choose either of those guys in conflict there. Nothing at 4 going on, which is great for us. 5 o'clock, we don't really have anything going on. This pretty much makes Arc Nova an almost certain lock from 3 to 6. You know, that 3-hour block is maybe a little bit greedy. But it's going to work great here. And with luck, I can finish Arc Nova in maybe 2.5 hours and make sure I get to bang out some dinner. Although actually, things are looking... Oh, no, okay. I was saying maybe I didn't have a game at 6 o'clock, but we do actually have a couple choices that we like. We've got St. Pete's, which is fine. That's listed as 2 hours, but is always significantly less than 2 hours. I think that game reasonably plays in just over an hour, so that does guarantee us some dinner time. We could also play Stone Age if we wanted to. Stone Age is fine. I liked it a lot more when I was younger, but nowadays I'm just not too juiced about it. In case I finish anything really quickly, I can always play Raw Dice at 7. I like me a good ROTC. Always good to chuck some of those things. Nothing else really jumps out there. At 8 o'clock, we've got a lot of good options again. And we're getting near the bottom of my page here. So I'm going to start doing my multiple options. We've got Agizia versus Medici versus Russian Railroads. I like Terraforming Mars, but I don't tend to play it at this event because it's a big time hog of the 4 hours. It's just very, very full. We also have a Through the Ages semifinal in case we actually do advance here, which is important for us to note. And then it looks like at 10 o'clock, we've got Seven Wonders Duel or Raw. I'm really leaning towards Raw because that is one of the WSBG games that I mentioned I want to play. So I think we're probably most likely looking at Raw here, unless we advance into the Through the Ages semifinal. It's kind of one of the advantages of playing Through the Ages, like on that first day, is that if you advance here, the semifinal doesn't conflict with a lot of other things. But these other choices, like Agizia, Russian Rails, those are going to depend on what we find out later in terms of our conflicts. I'm leaning towards playing Agizia, but it just sort of depends along the way. So again, actually, this is a pretty friendly day for us. We can kind of choose whatever we want in these 9 o'clock games in the morning. If I want to play one of these 11 o'clock games, then I don't want to take Great Western Trail. So I could do like Great Western Trail and Azul, or I can do like Vegas and Adele, or Vegas and maybe like Wingspan or something. Everdell in the middle of the afternoon, Arc Nova, followed by probably a St. Pete's. For fun, but maybe I'll grab dinner instead and then go to Raw Dice. So this gets a little dicey in here. And then at 8 o'clock, one of these choices for sure. 10 o'clock, we're almost certainly going to play a game of Raw. Cool. That puts us to Monday. Okay, kick off the day with a wing. Oh, no, it's a demo. This last one not being italics is killing me. Acquire is a WSBG game we're happy to practice, though we're certainly not going to play. I like a game of Age of Renaissance 7-hour slots. Jeez, it used to be 6. It was 5 for some years. This is a game I play here and there at WBC. I played it a lot as a teenager, so it's kind of like a nostalgia thing more than anything else. It's just too much of a time hog for us to realistically say that we're going to play it. So we've got Acquire, we've got Azul. Put these in our 9 o'clock slot here. Got Evolution. Evolution's currently knocking both of these guys off the list. Formula D. Oh, we got Scythe. Scythe is a game I quite like. I think maybe more than I have really a right to. It is a 3-hour slot, which is tricky, right? This is really 9 to 11. This is 9 to 12. A lot of times Evolution's going to finish early too. No semifinals or finals here that we're concerned about. This is getting tough fast because at 10 o'clock we've got Brass too, which, as I expressed, is one of the games I wanted to practice this year. And there's not a lot of heats. I find it very, very difficult to play Brass at WBC. But it is worth noting that if I play Azul in the morning, I do get to play Brass afterwards. So if I decide that I want to play Brass over playing like Scythe or something like that, that's important for me to note. It's important for me to also throw down that I've got an 11 o'clock Adele going on here. And I'll note that the Space Station Phoenix semifinal is here. That's quite interesting. It knocks me out of like if I was playing in that, I couldn't play Brass or Scythe, but I could play like Evolution in the morning. It does make playing the Space Station Phoenix a little bit more interesting at 11 on the previous day because this doesn't actually have a lot of conflicts. So I'm going to put a little star next to this, an 11 Space Station Phoenix semifinal. It's always good to know when are some convenient semifinals along the way. 1 o'clock. I just learned Charioteer this year and thought it was way more delightful than I thought it was going to be. I would definitely play Charioteer. 5 tribes, I suppose, if I don't advance. This is a sick twist of scheduling. Charioteer and Sekigahara, both the same designer, conflicting with each other at this time. That is interesting. Vegas Showdown. I see too many Vegas Showdowns. I have a suspicion that I maybe wrote down a Vegas Showdown earlier that was actually a demo. So we could play Vegas at 1 o'clock here. Couple choices. Nothing really screams our name that we need to do. I do like playing Sekigahara, but again, it's just an absolute time hog, and people are just miles and miles better than me. They like understand the meta so much at this point that it was fun to learn, but I think at this point it's just like impossible to compete. 3 o'clock, we've got Agizia, El Grande. It's a classic. A new classic, I guess. Wingspan. So it's actually pretty good to note that this, of these, certainly my favorite game is Agizia. And so Agizia tends to have a good semifinal schedule as well. We see that this is the final of 3 heats. So that does mean that this is more likely to happen here because it gives me some flexibility on the previous day of playing Agizia. Well, usually you have to play 2 heats of Agizia and do well to advance to the semifinal because it is a pretty popular game. So actually, what's nice about this is if I end up playing Agizia the previous night and I win, then I say, okay, I need to make this happen. And if I play Agizia and I lose, then I say, all right, well, Agizia is not important. I'll play El Grande or Wingspan instead. That's kind of how I can balance my choices against each other. Okay, 4 o'clock, Castles of Burgundy. We would play Castles of Burgundy in a pinch, but it is not our favorite game. 5 o'clock is our other crack at Scythe and Beyond the Sun. So those are at 5, and they're both going to go to 8, which is going to be a little bit awkward. I bet that's going to compete with some stuff going on at 6 here. Yeah, like our Galaxy Trucker, which always our dreams get ruined. We love playing Galaxy Trucker. It's such a fun game. My brother and I played with each other a whole bunch in the past. Maybe we should brush up in advance of going to WBC. I just almost never get to play it because it does sit on a schedule that's just pretty awkward for me. And now I'm finding actually the most awkward thing of all, which is that Arc Nova at 7 o'clock, if I'm planning on advancing this event and I don't win the previous day, it means that I actually am really struggling to play these other games. I can make like a greedy choice and try to play Scythe and hope to finish in 2 hours, which I do think is reasonable, but you can't ever really count on how fast other people are going to play. Obviously, the hope in this case is just that Arc Nova is not an issue, that I actually have won the game the previous day, and they're running quarterfinals for that this year, so I don't need to win multiple heats. So we've got Arc Nova, we've got New Orleans, and then we've also got Cascadia. I try to use slashes when it's the same time, but you can tell I'm pretty inconsistent with this. I generally actually have a sense of what the time slots are of these games, but like really I should do Orleans/Cascadia because they're both technically in the 2-hour slots as far as it's officially concerned. 8 o'clock. I don't play Power Grid at WBC, but I played once recently, and I kind of would play again if it fit nicely into the schedule. Almost never does because it's a 3-hour block, but worth putting down here. We're going to see that at 9 o'clock is the 5 Tribes semifinal. We're really going to hope to get into this guy because it looks like it doesn't conflict with a whole lot. We could play Automobile at 10 if we needed to. We're in that situation. And 11 o'clock looks like we've got another Raw situation going on. Is that all of 11? Yeah. Another Raw situation going on. Could play Quirky Quirks. We were the rulebook writer on Quirky Quirks. It's a friend worked on the project to make that game. And We could do that. I've played it like 2 times ever, so I don't know that I'm any good, but I don't think anybody else is any good either, except for, of course, the game designer. Great. Yeah, I mean, we're going to end the day with Raw, almost certainly here. Ingenious is fine. I'll play it here and there, but it's not too important to me. So, yeah, we'd really like to advance in 5 tribes. This is like a non-contested semifinal. So, I'm going to make a note on the 5 tribes that I marked before. Did I really only mark one? What are the other 5 tribes? 5 tribes. First Saturday at 7. First Saturday at 7 is 3 heats. I somehow missed the other ones and didn't write them down. They must have been in funny spots. Everdell, so I didn't even look at it. That makes sense. And where else are you, my friend? 5 tribes is on a teeter-totter of being popular enough that like 1 win is good enough, so it just becomes dicey. Oh, it's 1 on this day. And I didn't write it down with Charioteer in Vegas because I'm silly man. Oh, I did write it down. Just right here. This is what I get for not using the slash system appropriately. All right, 5 tribes. Advanced. Okay, so we are looking at 5 tribes as being a point of interest for sure for us. We're hoping to advance in Arc Nova, 5 tribes, Automobile, Gizia's kind of dicey. Yeah, got some good stuff going on. Tuesday is the auction day. Look forward to announcements from the board. In case you're not aware, I'm actually on the board for the World Board Gaming Championships. I probably should have said at the beginning of the video when I was talking about how wonderful this event was that I do have a bit of a bias there. But, to be fair, one correlates to the other, and it's that I love this event, and therefore I ran for the board, and I've been serving there for the past year and will for the next 2 years. But yeah, look for some interesting news about the auction coming up in the future. There's a lot of war games that go on during the day here, but those are not things that we do. So usually Tuesdays a day I use to catch up with friends, maybe do some open gaming. In the strange case that I'm in the Through the Ages final, I'll play that, which always happens on this day as well. But I do need to be ready and available by 3 o'clock for the annual meeting because of that board thing. Annual meeting, 3 o'clock. Speaking of being on the board, I think at Sunday at 7:30 I have a board meeting. Board meeting. Let's not forget to do the important talkie talks. All right, I think at 6 I'm running Everdell, right? Yep, so everything else gets just deleted here. Another RIP for Galaxy Trucker here. Bummer there. What else are we missing? The Game of Cotton John Company. And nothing too heartbreaking otherwise. We're not available at 7, but we might be done in time at 8. Ooh, interesting. So the Agizia semifinal is at a convenient time. At 8 o'clock. And cool. Good to know that the Lost Ruins of Arnak is almost certainly our choice here. We could play Stone Age, but like I said, that's pretty low on the list. I like Arnak a lot more. So that's almost certainly going to be our choice there at 8 o'clock. There's not really a good other contender unless we're in this semifinal. Now, I guess like a point to consider is that like, if I get into this semifinal, I can't play this Heat of Lost Ruins of Arnak. But I try to think a little bit more progressively forward unless it's a game I really, really, really want to play. And I don't really, really need to play Arnak, but it would be nice. 10 o'clock is full of a glut of good things. I think Heat is a really neat game. And I think it's probably fun and silly. I would love to play it at this event. I think it won't even take a proper 2 hours. But we've also got Raw going on. Although we had 2 nights, I think, where we're going to get a Raw game in. So we're feeling pretty good about that. And then Russian Railroads, which has been contested along the way several times, is important for us to note. I guess in theory we could play St. Pete's, but we don't like St. Pete's as much as any of those other games that I just mentioned. And if I'm playing a final at this time, that is amazing for me anyway. Maybe I'll play King of Tokyo to end the night. if I happen to be done, but probably not because this will overlap with the start of that event. So be it. Let's head on to Wednesday. Nice and easy Tuesday. We're going to start Wednesday here and then spill over onto the next side over here. Wednesday morning. Lots of war games. The war games are structured like single elim style, or like maybe not elimination, but they'll like play in these rounds. So they start in the morning and then kind of go all day long, or at least for the number of hours until they're finished doing their specific things. I didn't realize they put Imperial Struggle in this year. That's fun. Orleans is a game that I'm just strictly worse than all the other Orleans players, but I do really like it. Power Grid, sure. But hopefully this choice doesn't matter because here's the Arc Nova quarters. And we're going to plan roughly to advance to this. I mean, it's a little cocky to do so, but we're going to say that that's likely to be the case, which is nice because we got nothing going on at 10 that we care about. At 11, we would like to play Castles of Mad King von Ludwig. We love this game, but not a big deal if we miss it for some Arc Nova situation. I guess in theory we could play Wingspan as well or Adele as well, but those aren't really going to happen, honestly, in the face of Castles of Mad King von Ludwig. So looking at this morning here, I really, really want to advance in the Arc Nova quarters. I don't super need my time for any of these other things. So that does mean that even though this was already quite important to me, it's even more important to me. And we need to prioritize this if we did not win on the previous day. A lot is riding on this is the most important casual game or heat game of my event so far. Root never works out, but I would love to get Root in some year at this event. I've been playing that a lot with my friends, although we're on a downward glut right now. Nothing else is going on at 12, so that's definitely a contender. But it is going to be fighting these other guys at 1 o'clock, which frankly isn't a lot going on. Yeah, I mean, I would play Castles of Burgundy, but nothing else here really catches my eye. Always worth putting a Lost Cities situation on for that. They're going to single elimination this year. Oh, that's fun. That's a new format. It used to be that they did all these different Lost Cities heats, and now it's like go until you lose, I guess. Interesting. Okay. But always fun to put it on there, so I should put 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 to 6, so I know what I'm talking about here. And then 3 o'clock, St. Pete's, I guess. It's kind of a weird Wednesday. This is a little bit sparse for me. Adele or Azul or El Grande. So these are all games that are not high play games for me. It's not very, very likely that I'm going to play them because none of them are that important to me, but they're all games that I have put on my list. And it's important to note that all these semifinals, quarterfinals conflict with each other because if I advance in one of them, then it means that immediately I'm not interested in playing the other ones essentially going forward. If I get absolutely bounced out of all these, I can play some Dune Imperium at 4 o'clock. Not huge or amazing at this game. Also, this goes until 7, so that's important for me to note as well. And it looks like we got a lot of business going on at 5, although these are just kind of extensions of these earlier semifinal games. So I don't think we need to worry too much about that. So we got another Vegas Showdown situation at 5. Looks like I'm going to play Vegas Showdown this year just by a process of elimination. Oh, although Turn in Texas is a nice little game to play as well. Also in a 2-hour slot, but finishes probably in just over an hour, which allows us to guarantee get some dinner, which we're pretty happy to notice. History of the World. I used to play that back in the day too. Not a lot going on at 6 for us. This might be a break Wednesday. It's kind of one of the more chill Wednesdays I think I'll have had in quite a long time. 7 o'clock. Let's ramp up the action. We've got Medici, Robo Rally goes in a different slot because it's long. Sagrada because it's short. All sorts of different time blocks at 7, right? Because we got 1, 2, and 3 hours here. Okay, here's also important to know is that we've got Seven Wonders Duel and Beyond the Sun, which are going to conflict with each other directly. So advancing in one means not the other. I usually make a note. I should make these notes. What were my other conflicts specifically? We had like the Azul. So we have Adele versus Azul versus El Grande. This is like my check corner, so I can cross things off as the week goes on. And we have Seven Wonders Duel versus Beyond the Sun. So now we know that these are in conflict with one another. And we've got to also check, if we are in this event and it's going 3 hours, like, is it conflicting with anything else? Not semifinals or finals wise. But Brass at 8 actually looking pretty appealing here. So that means Sagrada moves up because I do want to play a game of Brass. It goes from 8 to 11, and it looks like I wouldn't be missing too much. Yeah, I think Brass would be my choice here. I could choose Charioteer at 9 instead of Brass, but that's not important to me, and like I said, I want to play Brass, so I have some room for that, which does mean that I have room. I've got wiggle. I can play Brass later rather than having to play this 10. I only really need to play once. If I happen to finish by 10 o'clock, which I'm playing Brass isn't going to happen, I can play Heat, which is nice. And Can't Stop at 11 is always good fun. All right. Cool. That brings us to Wednesday. This is usually a much harder schedule to put together, but I'm not having a ton of direct conflicts with each other so far. So we're going to see how this keeps going. Thursday. Now, what this does mean sometimes, by the way, is that I'll be getting on in the week and I don't have conflicts, but maybe I don't advance in a certain event. So then it's time to go learn something new. And so this event is not set in stone. It might be that I get to a certain point and this isn't specifically going to happen, but just for demonstrative purposes, I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I am free, so let me play Titan the Arena. If I know that playing Brass is not good, I might skip and play Titan the Arena instead, which is a game actually that I do know, but I didn't put down on my list because I knew that I was going to play Brass over it, and Titan the Arena is only for convenience's sake. On Thursday, all of our friends are playing B17 for many hours in a row. We could play yet another game of Great Western Trail. And, looks like Lost Cities is here. Oh, so it's listed as rounds, but it is actually heats. I don't know if that's a typo or if there's something confusing about the format. I could go read about it, but honestly, I don't need to. We've got Raw going on if we want. And, Brass and Scythe. Oh, when was the Russian Railroad semifinal? I missed that. That's something that's important to note. Russian Railroad semifinal. I don't think I wrote that down anywhere. Oh, it competes with Arc Nova. That's why I missed it. So we've got 9 to 11 Russian Railroad semifinal. And now, yes. You're embarrassing me in front of my friends. Now we've got Arc Nova versus Russian Railroads. So, come on. So, because Arc Nova is important to us, this deprioritizes Russian Railroads quite a lot. So, we're going to make a note of that going down in value. There's a third one, isn't there? Maybe I didn't. Oh, here it is, down in value. So that means that's actually great because Russian Railroads was conflicting with things all the way. So now things like Seven Wonders Duel, that goes up in value, which, by the way, puts down Beyond the Sun, right? If I advance in this, I can't play Beyond the Sun. So you see how these trickle-down effects now are affecting what I'm playing on Saturday, where Beyond the Sun was on my list, but it's Beyond the Sun conflicts with Seven Wonders Duel, which is the game that I'm going to play and hopefully advance in. But because I'm not going to be playing Seven Wonders Duel over Russian Railroads because Russian Railroads is conflicted by Arc Nova, and the system is working as intended. So back to Thursday, this Russian Railroads final is not a concern, but we do have Scythe competing with Brass here. Now, I think I'm pretty good at Scythe, and I'm probably pretty crap at Brass. But if I advance in Brass, I also feel like for WSBG purposes, I'm like morally obligated to do that. So this leads to a really interesting situation where I won't know, because the time that I have slotted to play Brass, is 8 o'clock on Wednesday. So here's what happens is that on Monday, I'm going to have to make essentially like a spur of the moment decision. Am I interested in playing Scythe this event? And if I am interested in playing Scythe this event and I win Scythe this event, then on 8 o'clock on Wednesday, I'm probably not going to end up playing Brass because, maybe I'll play it just for the practice, but like it conflicts with like Charioteer or Heat, which are games that I would be happy to play. And then maybe instead of playing like Sagrada here, I play, I guess the Seven Wonders Duel thing that I mentioned, right? Like maybe if I advanced in that. So if I advance in here's where we're getting crazy. And this is where we make like the events. On the first day, let's say I advance in Seven Wonders Duel. Here's the quarterfinals right here, right? So I would then play this knowing that I'm not going to be playing Brass here. Knowing that I'm not playing Brass means that, hey, I should play Scythe because the time slot that's Scythe versus Brass is actually open. So the trickle-down effects of these things are really, really powerful. So I'm actually going to put in here a note that Seven Wonders Duel is actually also versus Brass functionally for us. And I'll probably forget exactly what that means, but at the event I'll look back over. Maybe I'll just pull up this video and convince myself that's what's happening. So we are not going to be doing anything else Thursday morning, hopefully playing either Scythe or Brass. Worst case scenario, we're getting in a game of Great Western Trail or Ra, depending on the situations. But it doesn't look like anything else is really going on for the day. Hey, maybe we're playing the Scythe final at noon, but I don't tend to write those things on my schedule because finals can be rescheduled and recontemplated, but there's really not much else going on. Carcassonne, as I said, is like a 1 hour block. I tend to write those, but I really don't like Carcassonne, so I'm not going to play that game. So it looks like we actually don't have anything going on until 1, where I have my non-negotiable Everdell. So that means if I do advance to the Scythe final at 12, I'll need to sort of navigate that, but usually people are pretty kind. I could probably play the Scythe final where I would be doing the Everdell event. So people tend to be pretty flexible about that. It's important to note here, just mentally for myself, that this is a Lost Ruins of Arnak that I'm not going to play. So it does kind of prioritize those earlier ones in my schedule, which I don't need to write down or make anything for, but I'm just saying out loud to myself now because I'll know that bumps it up when I'm getting to the event. We're busy from 1 to 3. So we can skip all these guys here. And then at 3 o'clock, we're hoping to play in the Arc Nova semifinal. Which is versus Wingspan. So we're going to add Wingspan and Arc Nova. Wingspan versus Arc Nova, which is going to make playing Wingspan very low priority because we are really hoping to be in the Arc Nova semifinal. Although we're getting into cocky territory now. And we'll put in a speculative Orleans here in case we're not playing in the Arc Nova semifinal. Or instead of that, we could also play Monsters Menace America at 4 o'clock. That actually might be a lot of fun. We could play Route 2, but I suspect something going from 4 to 7 here is ugly news for me. Yeah, I see stuff in here that I would play. So I probably would play this and try to be done by 6. I guess I'll put it there just in case, but I think the odds that I'm playing that are very, very low. Robo Rally at 5. Unlikely to play. I don't like these things that go from like 5 to 8. Anything that like completely straddles the dinner hour tends to conflict with games and also just makes me a grumpy man. And, here's the example of what we would rather do instead is we would play Galaxy Trucker at 6. Oh, do we have no other conflicts? Are we actually playing Galaxy Trucker this year? What's at 7? Just a game of Sagrada? Lost Ruins of Arnak. That'll get in our way. All right, well, there's a chance that we're playing Galaxy Trucker this year. That's pretty exciting. 7, we've got Sagrada, just in case Galaxy Trucker finishes in the fastest time ever. But more likely, we've got the 7 semifinal of Lost Ruins of Arnak. Nothing else really there. I guess St. Pete's. Quarterfinal St. Pete's. So we need to make sure that we're marking St. Pete's versus Lost Ruins of Arnak. Lost Ruins of Arnak versus St. Pete's. I don't need to make extra notes along the way here because St. Pete's is not that important to me anyway. That I don't tend to prioritize it too much. Tighten the arena at 8. Just because we've got nothing else in that slot right there. We're going to put it down. Fun way to spend an hour. And at 9, we've got Evolution. Raw Dice. So usually we'll choose Raw Dice over Evolution if there's something exciting at 10, which there's not. And Pro Golf. Thursday ends on a really slow note for us. In fact, actually, it ends on such a slow note that this Terraforming Mars 4-hour slot suddenly not looking so bad. Terraforming Mars quarterfinal and is going to make me actually look back because normally the 4 hours of the quarterfinal alone is enough for me to say, you know what? I'm not going to do this. There's actually an easier way in this schedule rather than manually searching. So I'm going to go to the end and look for Terraforming Mars. Terraforming Mars. First Sunday at 8, which is not going to happen. We're not fighting Automobile. Wednesday at 7. Wednesday at 7. Terraforming Mars. If I decide not to play Brass, if I don't advance the 7 Wonders duel, yeah, it does kind of look like this isn't going to happen anyway. But, you know, when you have a nice block, it's important to note that there is a value in Terraforming Mars as a later choice. Thursday was where we were. All right, so that was this. This does also put up like St. Pete's and Quirky Quirks a little bit. But Thursday's also like a nice night to like just hang with peeps. Friday, I think I've got... No, I put Everdell on Saturday. I have it like first thing in the morning. Britannia, Castles of Burgundy, Gangsters, Turn-in Taxis, a couple okay options. So we're going to put Castles of Burgundy, which are not terribly likely to play, Gangsters, and what was the third one? Turn-in Taxis. All games that I like fine enough. Oh, really what we're hoping to do here is play the Great Western Trail semifinal, which conflicts with Orleans. Duly noted. Great Western Trail versus Orleans. I will note that it also conflicts with Lost Ruins of Arnak final, which is awkward if I can't get that rescheduled. But, you know, it's speculative to say that I get into a final anyway, and we'll choose the final over the semifinal pretty much every time. So hopefully that bangs out our morning. Is there anything else going on in the morning? Cascadia at 11. Cascadia semifinals. Oh, were there quarterfinals somewhere that I missed? Either way, if there are quarterfinals that I missed, it does mean that Great Western Trail is also versus Cascadia, which is going to put that lower on the list. Not that I was too worried about playing Cascadia anyway, but I do like that game more than I really have any right to. At 12, we've got Raw Dice Game. That's our emergency. If we didn't make one of these, Turn-in Taxis quarterfinal, Arc Nova final. Finals can be rescheduled, but last year Arc Nova didn't get rescheduled, so I'm a little salty about that particular scheduling. It's also just harder to reschedule longer games is actually really what it comes down to. Root semifinal here. So Root versus Arc Nova like a little bit. Root versus Arc Nova a little bit. Not enough to make me not play because it is speculative to be in a final after 4 rounds and so on and so forth. That's heartbreaking. Automobile at 1. So that means that actually we do have Root versus Automobile. Let's actually put Root versus Automobile as like a more realistic conflict there. And that is important for us to notice. Also against Formula D, which is a game that I'll just sometimes randomly play. So good for me to know that Automobile and Formula D are conflicting with each other. I'm not going to write it down because it's not like necessarily a choice that I'm making. And we'll throw Heat at 1 o'clock here just as to be aware in case we're not advancing in any of these things. We'll throw Dune Imperium at 2 o'clock here, again, for the exact same thing. We'll also throw in a Monsters Menace America for exactly the same reason. Turn and Taxis, by the way, conflicting with a bunch of stuff today means that like Turn and Taxis is like pretty low. We're going to find where we put those Turn and Taxis. Pretty low on my list. Any other Turn and Taxis? I realize that my handwriting is probably abysmal to watch. And like having it be pretty small is probably not any better, but you know, I like to write in big block letters when I'm like teaching or something like that. 3, Charioteer. Keep putting in places, but not really choosing. I could also play Concordia. Pretty crap at this game, but it's nice enough. We've got Robo Rally here, which conflicts with nothing. Conflicts with Monsters Menace America. An unlikely conflict to take place as both of those are lower on the list. So we've got Robo versus Monsters Menace America. Cool. Castles at 5. Castles of Mad King von Ludwig. I guess we've got the Vegas Showdown. Vegas semifinals, Sagrada semifinals. I assume Sagrada at a quarterfinals maybe somewhere. I should write this down as a conflict, but I don't tend to worry too much about the 1 hour games because I just kind of get them in when I can. If I advance, great. If I'm free, great. If I'm not, no big deal. 6 o'clock. We've got the Galaxy Trucker semifinal in case we actually get there. Which doesn't conflict with anything. The Galaxy Trucker's moving up in the world. All right, 7 o'clock. We are hoping to get into the Raw quarterfinal, given the fact that we're playing it a couple times. And that conflicts with Terraforming Mars semifinal. But again, we're probably not playing Terraforming Mars. Just given that block of time, maybe a little conflict here. Yeah, I think we quite want to advance in Raw is what it looks like. This is definitely some free time going on around here. I could play Battle Line instead. I could put that down. Battle. My friends will be at after action at this. 9 o'clock, we could play Acquire. Then when I'm tired, I have to pay the most memory attention. But realistically, here's what we've got going on here. Here's our bloodbath. I knew I was due for one eventually. Evolution, semis, Heat, Raw. So we've got Evolution versus Heat versus Raw. And I've written these so tiny that even I won't be able to read them soon. So we'll have to fix that in the long run. Liar's Dice at 11. This might actually be year I play Liar's Dice. Okay, cool. We're getting on Saturday. We have a lot of space over here, so we're going to rewrite our... No, we're not. That's boring for you. I'm going to rewrite these execution ones when I finish over here, but you don't need to watch me do that. Maybe when I summarize all these finals. Juicy Friday night. All right, Saturday morning. This is when Everdell is. Yes. The odds that I'm in the Everdell semifinal are astronomical, given that I'm playing for sure in all the heats. So what that means is that we've got Everdell. We're going to start actually putting a list over here. Everdell versus Charioteer, and Charioteer basically plummets to the absolute bottom of the list. That's a little awkward that I'll contest with the Great Western Trail final if we don't reschedule, but that's usually a pretty group. Even though it's a longer game, it can be tough. It's a good group for rescheduling. So Everdell will go to 11, and then if I'm in the final, hurrah. And if not, I play Castles of Mad King von Ludwig, or I just watch the final. Either's fine. Or I'm in the final. 12 o'clock, we've got Titan. The arena, but that's probably not going to happen because we're not done by 1. 1 o'clock, interesting stuff is going on. So we've got the Castles of Mad King von Ludwig quarterfinals. We could just play a normal game of Space Base. No real other conflicts there. No real conflicts here. I don't think I'm advancing in Dune Imperium, so let's not even speculate. Nothing going on here, man. Maybe I want to play something. So like, I don't want to play Euphrat and Tigris. Titan the Arena semifinals are at 3. Dune Imperium semifinals are at 2. Yeah, this is not games that I'm likely to advance in. Concordia at 3. It's the only way that I'm gonna like fill up this time. Looks like I might just have some dead time midday Saturday. That's awkward for me. Yeah. 4 o'clock, Lost Cities. Coming in like a savior. 5 o'clock. We've got Gangsters. We've got Raw Dice. If we're in the quarters. We've got maybe Automobile, but final. Guess maybe Rover Rally, but probably not. 6 o'clock, we got Lost Cities. Raw Dice. Da, 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 da. Diplomacy. Bunch of finals for things I'm probably not in. 8 o'clock, quarterfinals, I guess, for... This is just a day of finals and quarterfinals and not a whole lot else going on. And this has always been true, but I actually feel like in the past the Saturday schedule has been a little bit more full. This is pretty sparse. That's really interesting. Something to reflect on for future scheduling. Maybe something I like do on my own events. I don't know. Gets dicey because people don't want to schedule over semifinals and finals. All right, Faxon 5 at 9. This is like the most fun event. Just a really, really wonderful trivia game hosted by just like one of the funniest guys in the world. Yeah, doesn't much matter any of the rest of this stuff. If I'm in finals, great, I'll miss Faxon 5, but none of this is too much of a concern. So that's all awesome. And then Sunday. Sunday's usually dud, but if we can get Castles of Mad King von Ludwig, that's great. I guess we can play Race for the Galaxy if we feel like it. Other than that, there's not a lot going on Sunday. And that tends to be the case. A lot of people do it. I know that folks that play like Attack Sub and they have a really fun time with that and close out the con that way, which I think is really entertaining. And folks that do the Race for the Galaxy thing, a Transamerica thing. Actually, it's good to note that I can do Transamerica would be my choice over Race for the Galaxy. It's a nice, easy, chill game. Yeah, I am going to actually summarize this event for myself and also like rewrite these things over here. But at this stage, it might not be as interesting for you to keep watching. So if you are dropping off at this point and you watch till here for an hour, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for coming along. And if you are at WBC and we have not met in person or chatted in person, please come up and talk to me. I love to meet people that have watched the channel. All right, let's finish this up for those who are still with me. Adele versus Azul versus El Grande. Adele versus Azul versus El Grande. We've got Seven Wonders versus Beyond the Sun. And to be clear, that is Seven Wonders Duel. We've got Arc Nova versus Russian Rails. So Russian Rails is likely not our event this year. We're pretty good at that game. Oh yeah, we made the note that Seven Wonders is also kind of versus Brass. And Brass is versus Scythe, which is important for us to know. Wingspan versus Arc Nova. So, versus Wingspan. And Lost Ruins of Arnak versus Pete's. So that kind of kills Pete's for us probably. Great Western Trail versus Orleans and Cascadia, which kills those guys. As important. Route versus Automobile. That's probably one of the sadder ones, because they're both niche games that I don't get to play very much. And Robo Rally versus Monsters Menace America. Not that big a deal for either of those. And then we have Evolution versus Heat versus, is that Raw? Looks like Raw. Okay. And so that makes us, we've got this list. We're going to run through again and roughly make our schedule based off that information. Starting off first Saturday, Monsters Menace America is going to contest with Robo Rally, but that's really it. Beyond the Sun, that's going to contest with Seven Wonders Duel, which we did say we were interested in doing for other reasons, I think. So Beyond the Sun's on the lower side, Cascadia's on the lower side, Lost Ruins of Arnak on the high side, I think. It's competing with St. Pete's, which we don't care about. Through the Ages is also there. So I think it's going to be mood dependent. I mean, I would play Monsters Menace America, but we're between one of these two, Lost Ruins of Arnak and Through the Ages, to kick off our Saturday. We're definitely going to be done by 2 o'clock for Great Western Trail, which is really nice for us. We're going to be playing Seven Wonders Duel at 5 o'clock. We're going to be playing Five Tribes at 7 o'clock. Almost certainly playing Automobile at 9 o'clock. I guess unless I want to change to Agizia, but I really don't see that happening. Sunday morning, we can decide on what we're going to do about Great Western Trail based on our performance from the previous day. We could also choose to do Vegas. Actually, let's double check, because I've written down a lot of Vegases, and I'm worried that this is actually a demo. So first Sunday, 9 a.m. Is Vegas a demo? No, it is genuinely a heat. Okay. So we could instead do Vegas into like Adele. Actually, we would do Vegas probably into like Space Station Phoenix. Happy to then at some point maybe play Great Western Trail into Azul, so we kind of have to see what that looks like. I think there's a really good chance we're going to end up playing Great Western Trail, because if we win Great Western Trail on this day or get second on this day, we probably need more than just a win to advance. It does get pretty dicey. Everdell at 1-3 is a no-brainer. Arc Nova at 3-6 is our choice. At 6 o'clock, we don't really care too much about St. Pete's or Stone Age based on the information we've gotten otherwise. So we might play these. We might just chill and then probably go like play Raw Dice or something like that. We said that Russian Railroads was pretty low here. We might play the Through the Ages semifinal if we end up choosing Through the Ages here. But if we don't end up doing that, we are probably going to play Agizia. Medici is just not as liked by us as Agizia. And then Seven Wonders Duel versus Raw. I think we're just going to play Raw like we want to play Raw. I think we like it more, so that's pretty easy and figured out here. Monday is going to be a little bit tricky. I think it is going to be a game time call, because we could do something like Azul Brass, or we could do Scythe. Oh, the Space Station and Phoenix semifinal here is a thing to note for this in terms of the timings that we choose of these guys. It's not as ideal because of this. So actually, I'm really heavily leaning towards playing Great Western Trail, unless I like totally scrub out on this day or don't have fun playing it or something, which is really unlikely since it's like my favorite game. I'm pretty sure we're playing Scythe or Brass here. I know that's even another reason why they conflict with each other. We get the advantage of Azul, which actually might push Brass out a little bit. It's a little bit awkward. And that puts us over to here where we probably want to be playing 5 tribes again. We could play one of these other games, like maybe Vegas for fun. Down here, I think El Grande was probably a problem somewhere. It's not a big problem. So we'll end up playing Agizia if it matches with our Agizia performance. Maybe El Grande, because wingspan is quite low for us now. And then we can choose to essentially play, depends on what happens with Arc Nova. That kind of throws a whole bomb in everything if we have to play Arc Nova. Let's pretend that we win at 3 o'clock. We're then essentially competing Scythe versus Galaxy Trucker. And so it might be something like where in the morning I do Azul Brass, 5 tribes, Agizia, and then if I win Brass, I know that playing Scythe is silly. If I lose Brass, then I really want to win Scythe so that I have something to advance to during that time slot. And then Galaxy Trucker can be determined from there because I would much rather play that over Orleans or Cascadia. Going on later, we're hoping that 5 tribes semifinal is going to knock out Power Grid, but if not, we could play Power Grid here. It's actually worth noting that Automobile, I could just kind of push my luck and play Automobile on Monday night instead, knock out a Raw here. If I want to push my luck and play like Agizia on Saturday night, I could do that instead. I don't know. That's tough. We're going to leave that up to a game time decision. But yeah, we'll make that a game time decision. Tuesday, we've got Everdell going on. Ideally, the Agizia semifinal, but if not, we're going to play Lost Ruins of Arnak. That's nice and easy. At 10 o'clock, we're either playing Heat or Raw, just depending on what our mood or what games of Raw we may have gotten in advance. Wednesday, we are looking at 9 to 11. Wednesday we're looking at the Arc Nova quarterfinals, which we need to advance in. So all the rest of this stuff is probably irrelevant. And we don't have a lot going on later, so we might play Game of Root 12 to 3 on Wednesday. That's kind of exciting. If we finish early, we can even play Game of Lost Cities, which is not actually 3, 4, 5, 6 apparently. St. Pete's we don't much care about. We'd really like to have Adele, Azul, or El Grande in here. So actually, I should bump up Azel here. I should bump up Azul here as things to do in this time slot here. Yeah, that's good to know. Yeah, it looks like we might end up playing Dune Imperium this year too. If we just end up like kind of scrubbing out of these other things, that's funny. 7 o'clock gets interesting again here. We've got Scrata Medici. That's Robo Rally. 7 Wonders Duel. This is if I advanced. This is just a mess. This is just a big question mark mess that we're gonna have to figure out based off of like what's going on over there, and then we'll end the night with like Heat. We can play Heat and then play Can't Stop. Almost certainly have time to make those happen. Thursday we're looking at. This is not the Great Western Trail semifinal, is it? No, that's here. So probably not Great Western Trail. Oh, we're looking to do this. Scythe or Brass in the morning. Everdell later. Arc Nova maybe at 3. If we don't get into Arc Nova, we can play Monsters Menace America or something like that. Looks like we can play a game of Galaxy Trucker here unless we've advanced to the Lost Ruins of Arnak semifinal. And then looks like we're ending the night with like a Evolution or Raw Dice or something like that. Evolution's maybe a little bit informed by how we're doing in Raw and things like that, right? That's part of the reason why we have this chart here. 9 o'clock the next day, we're hoping to play in the Great Western Trail semifinals. And then we've got Route or Automobile, maybe Arc Nova. This is kind of a mess in the middle of Friday. Maybe we can convince people to move a final of Arc Nova onto Saturday. We'll see. Heat's only if we scrub out of all these things. In theory, we should be busy until like 3 or 4 this day. So that means we might end up playing like a game of Concordia just to fill out our Saturday here. So that's important for us to know. Probably not Charioteer. Castles and Mad Kings here, unless we end up playing Vegas Showdown or this other thing. I don't remember writing anything. to compete with Vegas. Friday, 5 o'clock. Now you're just watching the doldrums of insanity if you're still here, which I really appreciate. Oh, Sagrada. Sure. Galaxy Trucker semifinal at 6. I guess I should note that Galaxy Trucker is versus Vegas. It's also worth noting that Galaxy Trucker is versus Raw. But I don't think that's not so important. Might play a game of Acquire for the lulz if I don't advance in Evo or Heat or Raw. And then 11's a Liar's Dice. Saturday, we're playing Everdell. Then we're either playing like Everdell or Castles of Mad King von Ludwig or something like that. Ideally, we advance into the quarterfinals in Castles. Then we've just got a freaking mess of whatever's going on for the rest of Saturday, which we'll figure out based on our information at the event. Whew. All right, schedule complete, speculative rounds all around. Looks like I'm actually going to be able to complete most of my objectives this year, which is practicing my 4 WSBG games, getting to play Great Western Trail this year. So it's going to be a different year this year than last year. I remember last year feeling like I felt a lot more panicked in terms of doing the schedule, but it did work out well, as last year was a very successful event for me. So with a relatively more chill schedule, we're going to see how that works out for me this year. And I say relatively chill, and that does mean I'm playing, 16 hours of board games every day. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hope you have a wonderful day, and I hope to see you at the event. Bye.